Epilogue. "On my mark," said Machiko Noguchi. Technician hands hovered over controls. "Now!" Fingers flicked switches. Machiko watched the monitors. On the screen closest to her, one of the buggers was tearing through a doorway to get at men who had taken shelter. Its cyborg portion simply blew up, rendering its bizarre body into tatters. On 10 other screens, similar bloody and explosive fates met the other buggers. When the last of the blood and bone drifted down, Machiko got on the Allcom. "That was to save your miserable carcasses as well as ours," she said. "The rule of the particular tyrant here is ended. Lay down your arms. The Yautja will not harm you if you are not armed." An immediate truce has been called. Headquarters has been captured, and Livermore Evanston is being incarcerated. This is Machiko Noguchi. All will be explained in the fullness of time. Call in and report. "Pretty authoritative," said a voice from behind her. She turned and saw that Ned Sanchez was standing. He hobbled over and slouched into a chair. "Ned," she went to him. "Go back to your work. I'll be fine." "You need something for those burns." "Yes, I do. But I'm sure that one of these technicians can fetch me something appropriate." She snapped her fingers, and one of the techies went to a cabinet, pulled out a first aid kit. As the guy attended to Sanchez's wounds, the reports began to come in. It took a few minutes, but everyone seemed to be willing to throw in the towel. McCracken and Marino called in, still hale and hearty, and were given assignments to help take care of the wounded. "Hey, you sons of bitches! You left me out here to rot!" called the friendly voice of Dick Daniels. "Hey," said Machiko, "you're alive. You should be grateful for that." "I seem to have missed out on most of the fun." "You okay?" "Yeah, sure. Nothing that a couple of beers won't take care of. Hope you're buying." "You got a case coming, soldier. Now get yourself at HQ, and we'll put you to work." "The only ones not to report in are the hunters." "I see him forming ranks on the vids," said Machiko. "Attila, have you still got that contact with Bakub?" The eyes in Attila's head dimmed a moment, then brightened. "Yes, they're on their way in to talk about what happens next." "Well, that about wraps it up," said Machiko. "So to speak," said Sanchez, holding up his newly dressed arm. "What happens next, kiddo?" "We let the hunters hunt. We stay out of their way and put down the guns here. Like I said, these guys will only kill those who kill. It's a part of their honor system, as that system is stronger, believe me, than the high-tech armor they wear." "What about the settlement?" She turned to Attila. "I guess we're going to have to ask Mr. Subversive here about that." "I know the correct parties to contact. We shall receive the necessary supplies and armament. This can be a free planet, independent of the company. Free to trade with whom we please. Free to accept the colonies we please." "You think the hunters will want to help us?" Machiko shrugged. "I think the hunters will do what they want. What I hope is that they don't stick around too long." "After a good look at you, I don't blame you." "We humans are lucky. We can change." She shook her head. "I don't think they can. I think they like themselves exactly the way they are. And that's why they are the way they are, and have been for a long, long time." "No interest in psychoanalysts from the Predators?" "Sure. Give some shrinks guns and send them running, and you'll get a lot of interest." "Monitors are showing the arrival of a Predator party?" said a technician. "Can't see them too well." "Let them in, if you please," requested Machiko. Appropriate controls were touched, and within moments they heard heavy footsteps outside. "I believe the next thing to do is let them in," said Machiko. The appropriate technician looked reluctant, but one proper glare from Machiko solved the problem. Within moments, the big aliens shouldered their way into the room. Attila made the proper greeting noises. Bakub stepped forward. Machiko stepped toward him. They made a gesture of mutual respect. "Where's old Evanston?" asked Sanchez. Machiko could handle that question, and so she asked. Bakub gestured to a member of his pack. A warrior stepped forward, held out his hand. From the hand dangled a net sack, holding a skull with only the spinal column, some flecks of brain, and a dangling eyeball to testify for its freshness. "Trophy," said Bakub. One of the technicians gagged and then was sick beside his station. "Alas, poor Yorick," said Attila. "Straight from the horse's mouth," said Machiko. "We rest now. We talk tomorrow." Machiko nodded, and the predators turned and left. There was a moment of silence as Machiko looked at the blood of Livermore Evanston that had pooled on the floor. Ned Sanchez looked at her with a different cast to his eye. "Well, Machiko, looks like you've got yourself a world. What are you going to do with it?" Guy, we've got ourselves a world. And what are we going to do with it?" She smiled. "Well, we're going to make it the best world in the universe." She raised her blaster. "Any objections to that?" "Sounds great to me," said one of the technicians. "Me too," said another. She grunted. "Good." She poked a free finger at Attila. "In that case, I'd like you to meet your new head of state." She stepped forward, picked up the severed head, and placed it in a chair. "And what, O head, is our first order of business?" The eyes travelled around the room. "I think our first project is exactly what Bakub is going to be talking to us about tomorrow." "Which is?" said Machiko. "Have you forgotten the reason you're here? There are bugs on this planet, and unless I miss my guess, while we've been warring with ourselves, they've been increasing exponentially, as is their wont." "Right, that's what we'll do. First, though, I think we could use a bit of a rest." "Oh, and one more personal request," said Attila. Machiko bowed. "Yes, Your Majesty." "I really would like to reunite with a certain large part of my physical anatomy." Machiko nodded. "We'll give it a try. I can't guarantee you anything, my dear friend." She scratched his scalp affectionately. "We'll try."